Today we are in Bern, Switzerland, with the most iconic fixed gear rider I know. He's from Bern, actually. I'm really happy to have Patrick Seabase on the What Does It Take podcast. Welcome home, Patrick!
Hi, Matthias. Good to have you here. I'm so excited.
How are you doing tonight, Patrick?
I'm so amused and excited to be here with
Very
you.
nice.
No, I mean it. It's good to see you. And we had a beautiful dinner.
Yep.
Didn't you like it?
At a Ayurveda restaurant.
Yeah, it was very healthy.
It was very healthy. You noticed that we might have some fun times on the toilets tomorrow.
It has this cleansing effect.
So maybe if you if you hear some weird noises during the podcast, it's Patrick going for it.
Absolutely. Maybe it's you because it's the first time for you. You basically your stomach got deflowered, but it's a beautiful thing. You know.
We are in the library of a beautiful hotel in Bern. I know you like books, so that's why I picked a library.
Perfect.
And to get straight into the subject, we're going to explain what is a fixed gear to the listener. So basically, it's a bike where the rear hub is connected to the wheel, so there is no free wheel. Basically, if you go forward, the pedal go forward. If you go backward, the pedal go backward. How fast can you go on that thing? What's the fastest speed you've ever been on your fixed gear bike?
That was in summer 2018 down the Simplon with the super crazy tailwind, 96k an hour.
96.
That was fucking fast. Can I say fuck?
Yeah, you can say fuck. Fuck.
All right. It was 96k. It was fast. I didn't have time to check the cycle computer, so I was kind of happy because if I would have realized that it was 96, I would have probably crashed.
Freaked out.
I was like, looking too hard on the computer and noticing that's not possible. Then I would have crashed probably.
Because like when you do 96k an hour, for the people to realize is you can't stop pedaling. So like the whole time your legs are just like...
Yes, it's I don't know why people do it, but it's you're connected to that thing. So everything you do, it transmits it straight to the machine, which is your bike. So you become one. It's like the bike becomes an external organ, and I like that. But it has its trickiness. Like you said, you always have to pedal, even if you go whatever speed, like 96, and then you pedal a high cadence, and obviously for 96 you need a big gear and spin the legs. That's what happened. I survived, and I will go faster.
You did, but you did go even faster on the road bike. No, you told me that story in Hawaii. Can you maybe say it again for the listener? It's a crazy story.
Yeah, I went on a 4-hour loop, and I decided to go a different route through this on the Pali Highway. It's called Pali, which basically connects the east coast of Oahu with the west coast. So you would enter straight Honolulu. And it was raining. I climbed Pali, a short climb, like maybe 4K, 2 miles, something, whatever. And I knew after the tunnel it goes down, so I sprinted because I heard a big truck in the tunnel, and I was listening to the music with my headphones, but it was so loud, so I knew there's a truck, and I was sprinting to go behind the truck. Went behind the truck, and at some point, I was going so fast, I was trying to pass the truck. And I was next to the truck, full speed. And I had 128 with a huge tailwind. It was as if a rope would pull me down into Honolulu. It was crazy.
128
yes.
kilometers. What goes through your head at this moment?
Good music and just like rush, adrenaline. I love it. I love it when it's not planned. I mean, if you would say, oh, now you have to go 130, I will probably be like, that sounds scary to me. But let's say I have good bike handling skills and I have a good intuition. So I would just go with the flow. And, if fate wants me to crash or die, well, what can I do? Well, I'm trying my best to go with the flow. Yeah.
It's really interesting. Some of the best things that ever happen in action sport are not planned, It's like the biggest down rails with a skateboard were not planned, and this is the beauty of it. I think when Stevie Churchill trucked down El Toro. It was not planned, and some of the craziest skateboard tricks down El Toro were not a planned trip.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when something is too planned, then the athlete is just like
In the head too much.
And when it's time to do it, it's kind of like, oh, there was so much anticipation. So do you like genuine stuff that are not planned?
Yeah, it's my favorite. You know what I really like is with anything, whether it's skateboarding, BMX, or I wouldn't consider what I do as extreme or special because I'm not doing any tricks. The only trick I do is ride as smooth as possible.
What's to explain the people? So you do race bike with a fixed gear. How would you describe what you do on the bike?
I'm still trying to find the right answer. Well, what I do is I'm doing something very egotistical, but with that though, I seem to inspire other people, which is great. So I go to places, ride my simple bike without brakes, very responsible, and with one gear, and it looks super nice. And I'll go to, let's say, Africa, to the United States, to wherever I feel like going, and I'll have a filmer with me, photography, and I'll expose it the way I'd see it, and on the way I find myself in challenges, like doing the biggest, highest mountains, the steepest. But it's not only the challenge that finds my interest. It's more the cultural background of something. Like I did this 1910 thing.
Let's go to that a little bit. That was a crazy project. So in 2015, you decided to do the Seabase 1910 project, which was climbing the gnarliest Tour de France stage ever. They actually stopped doing it.
Yeah,
after
a couple
of years after.
Yeah, they did it for like, I don't know. I have all the numbers in my head, but probably 7 years or max 10 years. So in 1920, I'm sure they didn't do it anymore.
So they did a Tour de France stage so gnarly, they decided to stop it after a few years, the Tour d'Assassin. Yeah. And you decided to do it with a fixed gear bike. So with only one gear, no brake, and a fixed gear. Can you tell us what happened that morning when you took that decision?
Yeah, it was 4 a.m. and I was well prepared. I did a couple hours every week, and I knew it's going to take me at least 10 hours, even more, because it was 6,000 meters of climbing. So I reckon 1,000 meters takes me 1 hour if I go with a good pace. So that's 6 hours of climbing already. Right? I mean...
That's 6 hours of climbing.
Or more. It was 6,800. So let's say 7 hours of climbing. And then there's more to that. So that makes maybe 13 hours, which in the end it took me 12 hours and something. Almost 13 hours of constant pedaling.
Whoa. Didn't stop for 13 hours.
Well, I had to go. There's a funny story. I had to go. And so the minute I left, I clicked into those pedals. And you were asking me what was going through my mind, how I was feeling. I was nervous before, but as soon as I clicked in, I felt great. But then I remember shit. And literally, no pun intended, shit. I had to go to the toilet. And obviously at 4 a.m. in France, in the Pyrenees, there's no fucking toilet. Nowhere. And I had to after the first uphill, the Pierre from Bagnères de Luchon, also the lights went out on the bike on top. So I was like, shit. So the whole descent, which I never did before, I had no lights.
You had no lights?
I had no lights. I had no brakes, no lights. But luckily I had one gear. Right?
Oh my God.
And the cars and the motorbikes, they guided me a bit. But I had like 70k an hour in the dark sometimes. You know?
Whoa. So because, and
I had to go to the toilet as well. Like that was my biggest concern. So I did Col d'Aspin, all good, sweating like a pig because I was wearing too many layers of clothing. On there had a sip of a RedBull, some water, and I told them, guys, I need to go to the toilet. It's due, really, guys. And they were laughing at me, I was like, okay, shit, I'm going to go continue. And 4 hours later, I was able to go on the toilet. And I spent probably 20 minutes on the toilet. And I still had the mic because I was all mic'd up. And they heard what I was saying, I was like, oh, like...
Whatever you say at this
whatever
moment.
I say. And it's all on tape. And it was the longest brown I made ever.
Can we use the footage for the podcast?
Yes, it's true. It's a true story. It was. I think I never spent as much time on a toilet, and they were all waiting. Like the people, they had those RedBull organized motorbikes because they didn't want me to have too many cars in front of me, which was very nice. But that means more people means more pressure, and they were waiting. But I lost all that sense because I really felt comfortable in that toilet. So I let it go, and I came out like, all fresh, and they were all waiting, like, tapping their foots and like, oh, finally, So anyway, the show went on. Everything was great, and I spent like 13 hours in the saddle, and I got to Bayonne, very relieved. It was the longest day in the saddle, and I felt really good. It was a great day. It's
these kind of days are more of a fight against yourself than other.
Always.
You mentioned at dinner that even though people ask you to do some racing, you declined because this is not what you ride bikes for. Can you tell us why you declined racing, like normal racing bike?
Well, to be honest, I did a couple of races. I think I won like 2-3 criteriums, local ones, but I don't see interest or I don't get great feelings from competing with other people. If we compete, or let's say, if there's a competition, I'd rather do it with like old school, with courage. Like you tell me, oh, can you do that, like a bar spin of that 10-stair set? I would say, sure, I'll do it. Well, I'll try. Maybe I fail. If we both land it, well, we both won, if you want. So, and it's not even about winning, it's about completing something, And I like that, or jumping from a cliff, can you do a backflip from that cliff? Yes, let me try it. I like that. There's no other factors like, oh, the day shape. Oh, today I feel like shit, or I feel great, or the wind's different and it helps this guy when he starts racing. I like just equality, and courage that defines the actual sense of competition. If there's competition, which I generally don't like. But if there's competition, courage should be what we aim for, or what I aim for.
That's it. Because I feel like this is why I ride flatland too. It's because it's such a simple thing. Everybody can do it, but everybody is on the same exact skill.
Absolutely.
Thing, And
absolutely. And I think style and smoothness is like, when I look at a video of you, I know you're so in tune and you like it. When you do your fakie, I don't know those trickness, but manuals, and you do it, spin in circles, and you can name the tricks afterwards if you want. But it seems you're in tune and you really like it. And you, of course, had to practice some tricks. And you struggle with some, and with some, they just fell into your lap, You just had a easy time making them or doing them. So the main thing is, though, you can see you're having fun and you love what you do. And that's the best trick.
It's not the competition part.
No, but of course, when you reach a level, and let's say I can push 1 hour, 450 watts, then I'd be like, maybe a little time trial in Paris would be nice, get that maillot rouge. Well, it's easier if you're at a very high level and you want to compete. Your chances are probably high that you can win. But I don't want to train to compete against a human. I like I train because I want to climb a mountain without looking like a potato bag, and also be able to go quick uphill and enjoy the view. I don't like looking like garbage on a bike. I'd rather not ride a bike. As soon as I look like shit on a bike, I stop. I just stop. I want to look smooth. My aim is to perfect my pedal stroke. I do it 6 days a week. I want to have the most efficient, smoothest pedal stroke.
What are the ways to improve that pedal stroke?
A lot of practice on the rollers, free rollers, where you just put the bike on those rollers. They're not fixed. And then you just spin. High cadences. I do like at least once a week for 1 hour, 118 to 120 rounds per minute for 1 hour.
Like,
And you sit smooth. It's like sitting on the couch. And if they would film only your top, like the back, they would think you're just, like sit on the couch. And underneath, it's hauling ass. The leg spin. And I like that. Like the duality, like it's sort of a meditation, but it's also concentration. The focus, to be stable and to spin the legs and generate power through momentum. I love it. And it's so smooth. It's like you become that generator, that efficient tool that powers, like that's sort of the engine, and that powers you and your bike to go to places in the end, and I love it. But it has to look good. If you look, you can be the fastest person on the bike. If you look like shit, I don't care. It's not about winning. It's about how you look and how you feel.
I have the same approach about my sport. It's like I'm definitely not the most technical anymore, but at least I'm doing stuff that I look good. And for me, like I film all of my new tricks. All of my new tricks, I record them. And if I see something that I don't like, I don't even do it anymore. Exactly. Even if it's a contest-winning trick or it's super technical, if it doesn't look good to me, I just fucking put it in the toolbox and see you never,
But that's exactly what I have. So much footage, even of the 96K. I have to redo it because my position on the saddle, like the saddle was a bit too much forward. I don't know. I changed something, and then my hip was slightly moving, and it wasn't the way I.
You can see these details.
I can see it. I don't know. It looks like. Yeah, someone who, I'm exaggerating, but it's not the way I want to have something, being public,
Of course.
Because now we have to, with the internet, it's, if we release something, we better make sure that it's great because it's going to be there for a long time, longer than we are, right? So we better make sure it's good, right? So style is very important.
Definitely.
And we have time to think about stuff before we release it, so we better make sure it's worth it.
Definitely, because like you've been riding fixed gear for a long time. I feel you picked where was the
years.
Well, it was 2008. You picked your first fixed gear.
I think it was even 2006, but I started riding more and more in 2008. Yeah.
What got you on this bike?
It was the bike itself, how it looked, very superficial. It was solely the visual approach that caught my attention, and I remember seeing it in San Francisco. I was like, "Oh man, that's beautiful. That's like a bike for people who don't like bikes. Perfect for me." And then I built one with a friend. Friend had a shop, got it there, bought all the parts, put it together, which was a hassle, which I actually never did again. I'm the worst mechanic, so that's a fact. But I like riding it, so I kept on riding. And in 2008, I started riding more and more. Like my friend, who basically I'll gave a bike, closed yesterday, and he rode his first. He went for his first bike ride yesterday for 1 hour, and he reported at me. He was like, "Man, I cannot walk. I had to take the train back." That's exactly the same story I went through. 1 hour to Thun. That's a city nearby. It's roughly 30 kilometers. It took me probably a bit more than 1 hour, and I wanted to ride back. I couldn't. I was wearing jeans, just normal guy, had no idea. And I had to take the train back. Afterwards, I was wrecked. But then it started gradually. 1 year later, I got my first mountain done because obviously we're surrounded by mountains.
This is the Gurnickel?
Gurnickel,
Yeah.
that's it. You did your research, Matthias. Not bad. I'm proud of you. Well done. Parfait.
Parfait, bravo.
Parfait. Ouais.
So the Gurnickel, and then you got into
Higher
it?
ones. Yeah. Higher ones, like 2,000 plus meters. This one is a bit more than 1,000. So then 3,000. Now we're approaching the 4,000, the 5,000, the highest, It's all in the works now. We'll come out with it. Yeah, I think this year we're going to release some and do more of the high ones. But yeah, that's how it started. We all start, you did your first bar spin at some point. I do like fucking 10 bar spins in, I don't know, 10 seconds. So we gradually evolve if we stick to something. And you know that, right? We need to, if we like it, we just need to keep on going. It's all about continuity.
In 2006, when you pick your first bike, and in 2008, when you start riding it, was it ever for like the hipster part of fixed gear or?
Oh
or
yeah,
no?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm not really a big fan of that word hipster, but it's probably true. Whatever, yeah, guilty pleasure.
Because
It was.
I remember and hipster is a word from like the 2010 era,
Yeah,
where a lot of
but I know what you
hipster
mean.
people, which can be now a word that's negative, hipster or whatever.
It's like influencers.
It's just whatever. Now it's influencers.
Yes,
That's
it's the new. I
hipsters.
think so. Absolutely.
Influencers are the new
There's.
hipsters.
It's funny. There's even, I think, companies now employ influencer managers.
Yeah, of course.
You have
I think
heard that?
RedBull has some influencers manager.
Shout out to RedBull
Shout
for
out to RedBull
being,
for having influencers.
Yes, for being on the ball with things.
But then a lot of these hipster people were using this fixed gear bike for a trend,
Commuting,
commuting,
having a coffee.
Exactly. What did you think about that when you were climbing mountains?
I don't care. I did honestly. What I learned, especially getting older. Not that I'm super old. I'm 36, but when I turned 30, the pressure in life and being envy or pride, all those things, which in a high saturation can be not too beneficial for you, went off. So I sort of focused on what I do, and I try not to really care about what other people. I mean, I care about what other people do in my environment, and I appreciate what if people do great things. But I didn't really judge other people, because there are certainly other people judging me. Oh, this guy, he rides without brakes, and he's a hipster, but whatever. Fuck it, it doesn't matter,
It's 2020, everybody judges everybody.
It's like normal. People in their underwear behind computer at their desk with their whatever beverage in their hand are judging people. And anonymously, it's like, get a fucking life. Just do your stuff. Don't criticize people if they're trying to do something good. That's it. That's all we, just speak. Have a moral compass. Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Are you into the Tour de France stuff? Do you watch it? Do you have any interest in cycling that way?
I mean, it certainly doesn't really inspire me. Yes, I'm sorry. It doesn't. I have a couple of friends, a very close friend. He had the yellow jersey for the most. He was wearing the yellow jersey for the most days ever.
At Tour de France?
But he never won it. He won many other great monuments, Paris-Roubaix, Flandre, and world champion. And I used to follow it also because of him or some other people I know who were competing. But I don't know. I'm not too much into races. I like riding a bike and not spending time with the bike after I come home and talk about bikes. With my friends, I rarely talk about bikes. They ask me probably more questions than I want to talk. I'd rather talk about architecture, books, music, whatever. I just do it, I don't know how it's... Do you talk about with your girlfriend, do you talk about what BMX tricks you learned today?
Never.
Yeah.
And
people who don't ride BMX in your environment, you're not going to explain me, hey guys, you have to listen. So today, imagine I ride backwards and then I spin and they're like there, yeah. What did you eat for dinner? It's like, you do that because you like it.
I like it, exactly. And I think it looks beautiful.
That's it. Same here.
What made you such an aesthete of liking the way things are? What young Patrick was doing before fixed gear?
I did a lot of skateboarding when I was 8. I started. I listened to a lot of music thanks to my father. So I looked at record covers. I looked at books and vinyl, especially vinyl, because we were surrounded by CDs and vinyl. So I like always the black. I remember the Metallica black helmet. That was my favorite cover because it had this little snake. Yeah, and if you look closely, you saw it. So I like stuff that's subtle. You have to discover, and then you will never forget it because you discover something on it, which wasn't too obvious. So that made my eyes open, being more open to things naturally. I wasn't a try-hard look for there's a little bird in the ceiling of this house. It just happened more that I became, more open-minded and my eyes were more open. So it started probably then. And I have this shitty burden I carry around. All the stuff I really like is just too fucking expensive. Or even with old books, I go to a bookstore. I'm like, oh, they have that. Oh, amazing. Open it, $500. Shit. Nice chair. Of course, it's the most expensive vintage chair I can find, or whatever. It's a burden, but I love aesthetics. I love quality, handcrafted stuff with a story. I'm a hopeless romantic, and I'm a sucker for all those things. Yeah. So it started at an early age, and it grew and grew more intense, and it didn't yet stop that wheel. It's like a tornado that just drags me around and spits me out in this whatever furniture store and wants me to look at the most beautiful things. Yeah.
It's great to have people like you in 2020 because it's an age where a lot of things are in the cloud. Even the human relationship are in the cloud.
Absolutely.
What do you think about social media?
Well, it's the same with the internet, It's just a lot of knowledge. It's a double-edged sword, let's put it that way. I profit from it. And if I'm doing it right, it doesn't really hurt me that much. But you have to be, maybe it's age, or you have to be on top of it. You cannot be, let's say if I would be 16, probably, I wouldn't have all the experiences I have now. I would have probably a hard time. Who knows? Well, luckily it's hypothetical, but I guess it can be very, very stressful on your mind and even body. So, I don't know. It's a good question, Matthias. And I always, the first thing I wanted to say was spitting out. It would be no, it's really bad. The bottom line. But it's not only bad, we learn a lot about. We can read about many things about psychology. I can track down records on Discogs. I can, even look at Google old school BMX. If I want to learn more about BMX, I can do that on YouTube, or you can show me old BMX stuff with fixed gear stuff. Just typing it in Google, and we'll have it at our disposal. It's great, but obviously we have many. Everyone has the same. Who owns a smartphone or a computer, who has access to the internet, has the same base, who can create something. So there's a lot of music, there's a lot of video, there's a lot of good music, but there's much more shit in every sense. So people just throw their shit out there, and we are just here with open fucking arms, even if we don't want to, and we just get it. There's an oversaturation of things, too much shit, which is surrounding our brains, and then maybe influences us in a bad way. If you can deal with it, that's great. I think I can, but I also had hard times, you know. I mean, if a thumb of someone you don't know values your product, and you give that meaning to what the person values, or the person, all the people value with their thumb on social media platforms, it can harm you. It can mentally put you down. But yeah, it's interesting.
You have to use it to your own interest, I feel like, because you do something so genuine and pure, and it's the opposite of Instagram, what you do, you know, but you still need those platforms.
Yeah.
You still need those platforms to get the word out there. So it's kind of like a game to play, and I'm exactly doing the same thing. It's kind of like you have to use social media and not let social media use you.
Yes. But we talked about it just briefly at dinner, and we agreed that things become much more disposable, no matter what efforts behind the product or the project. If it's a photograph, let's say you walked up the hill for 20 miles at 3 a.m. to finally reach a summit at, you know, the golden light or in the sunrise, and you had this vision, and you had a large format camera, a Linhof, you had to carry it up there. And you plan it for so long, and you have this shot, and you put it in Instagram, and people don't give a shit. So that's could be a harsh reality. But if you put weight on that outcome of people's thumbs, like meaning their emotions towards your whatever visual output or whatever output you have, and evaluate by that definition, or like criticism or non-criticism, the reaction of the people. That's your problem in the end. But it's hard, right, to not deal with it, you know, or be affected by it. I mean, when I put something out, let's say we rent a helicopter, we're going to go to the nicest location, riding uphill and then going down as smooth and fast as possible, having the greatest time. And we all had a great day. But then we put it online and we're so excited, and no one gives a shit. I mean, it hurts still, right?
It does kind of hurt.
It's
still,
true.
But you have to take a step back from it and just use it as a game. And because if it used to hurt me too, and then, you know, even if you have like a 5,000 positive comment and one negative comment, you're going to focus on the negative comments, and that's so fucked up about the human brain. But that's the harsh reality. So at the end of the day, I think you just need to do your own thing, put the content you like online, and then just let the people decide or whatever.
But that's exactly that balance. Most of the stuff I really like, people don't seem to like. I don't know. But at some point, you just do whatever. Exactly. Because we have to be true to ourselves.
Because to put end on that topic, Pierre, the guy, the homie who films and records this podcast, had a great thought about it. He said that Instagram is the new the Roman circus, you know, with Caesar or whatever, where people used to decide if you still live or you still don't, a thumb up or
it's
a thumb
literally
down.
a thumb.
It's literally a thumb, you know.
Yeah, it's like the big Roman Colosseum. Pierre, that is a great metaphor.
Let's jump to a totally different subject, way more genuine. It's the preparation for all this crazy project you do. And I know you have a new project that you want to do in Hawaii, if I'm not wrong.
All over the globe, yes.
All over the globe.
Yes.
What's a typical day of preparation for you on the bike?
So since I'm not racing, I'm not competing with other people. So I have my own preparation, which is amazing. I can just ride the way I want to ride, where I want to ride, whenever I want to ride. So that's basically the base. But It depends on if I need to ride, let's say, if I need to do one climb from 0 to 4,500 or even more, depending where, I need to make sure that I can ride 5 hours uphill without having a break, and generating enough power with my body weight to get quicker uphill and use less energy. So I train differently depending on the actual project. For now, speaking of Hawaii, we already did a couple things in Hawaii. We're not yet finished. I need to go there again, and then redo one, and that takes me probably 4.5 hours to climb if I go quick, like really quick. And the higher you go, the less oxygen is available, is at your disposal. So that means I do alternate breathing, different breathing methodics on the bike, off the bike, in the bed. I have this technique where I can basically breathe or simulate an altitude of 4,000.
What is it? What's the...
I learned it from a book called The Oxygen Advantage. It's a guy called Patrick McKeown. It's an Irishman. Seems to be a very funny guy with a lot of knowledge about one of the big organs we have, the 2 lungs. And he recommends nasal breathing. So 3 years ago, I started with that nasal breathing. And I still struggle to maintain it all the way through my life, especially during sleep. So I'm doing those inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose breathing patterns. Depending how long the breath hold is and the exhalation in seconds, the different that makes basically the main difference of the altitude you are. And you can do it for 20 minutes laying in bed. So that becomes your altitude chamber. And you can do it on the bike. You can basically do breath holds for like 10 seconds and go hard, or just for 1 hour. What I do is I'll put water in my mouth and I ride for like 20 minutes uphill, which is bouche fermée, as you would say in France, with the mouth closed. That's what I do.
Wow, to simulate altitude.
Exactly.
And then off the bike, I saw that you posted something on your story today that you were doing some testing.
I did a little. I just wanted to see. The last test I did was, that was in 2015.
2015?
Yes.
So 5 years ago.
Yeah. And I was in good shape, and I want to see how I am now. And so I did a test just to see how much power I can generate within like 20 minutes, and it's
really interesting. How do they measure that? It's in watts, right?
It's in watts.
Can
yes.
you like let us know what the test was like and what's the result?
So what we do is they call it a functional threshold power. So basically what you can produce within 20 minutes and you take 10% off, you could produce for 1 hour. But my aim is to, to ride I always wanted to ride 10 hours with like 280 watts. And at 1910, I had 268 for 12 hours and 54.
Whoa.
Yes. So, but I was like, I should, if I want to probably maybe do this Zurich Zermatt, if I want to do this ride, which my friend organized, it's I think 300K. And if I want to be up there, I mean, it's not a real race, but, I want to go quick there. And it probably takes me 10 hours and I need 280 watts to have a good time. And I was like, how much power do I need to produce in 1 hour? They can somehow measure it. And if I can produce like 380, which is roughly my case, 370, I would have a good time there. And then I also need to ride like 5 hours, 3 times a week back to back. So that makes 15-hour day, like in 3 days, 15 hours, rest day, and then another 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever. So that's a lot of hours in the bike. If you want to do a long distance, So it depends always on the project, what I do. But I spend roughly between 15 and 25 hours on the bike and maybe 6 to 10 hours in the gym. I prefer the gym.
Week?
Yes. Let's say average training is probably 23 hours.
A week of training?
Yes.
Wow, this is incredible.
Without a massage or...
Because then there is the recovery process. I saw we were right before we started this podcast. We had a foam roller in the room, and then I have a massage gun. And you were. It seems like you are pretty accurate with that. Do you use it a lot, the foam roller on the?
I use it at least 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the evening. Every day.
It's more like something in your mind now that.
Yeah. It's a pattern and a daily routine. Whether I'm training or not, it just makes me feel good. It makes me feel more like the blood flow is better, and it affects my mental health. It's sort of it has a meditative aspect, and I like that. So yeah, I've been using that for. But the funny thing is, I used to train always a lot, but I never took really care of the recovery. I just started doing that probably 2.5 years or 3 years max, and it got way better and better because I learned more and more. So there was a guy telling me, "Oh, you should never stretch like immediately after your workout." I was like, "Huh, how's that? That's interesting." He said at least 1.5 hours later, and I couldn't really. He explained it to me because of the fascias, etc., how they recover or how their state after the workout is, and they shouldn't be touched afterwards. So that was his theory, and he seemed to be, he was very confident, and I don't know if it's true. So sometimes I wait now, 1.5 hours, sometimes not. So there's always people giving you new advices, and by now I know what works for me. But still, if something sounds good, I'll apply it. But the rolling for 30 minutes in the morning and in the evening is a good thing for me.
It's a must.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes, also a bit a must for me. Yeah, absolutely. You do it too, right?
I do like stretching in the morning, stretching at night, and then a lot of.
Do you roll before stretching or stretch first and roll after?
I stretch first and I roll after.
Okay.
And I try to do it before I eat food too, so like it's not too hard on the stomach and everything.
But when you go ride, you do that before the ride, obviously.
Before the ride, yeah.
But not when you're at the spot. You're just gonna ride. You're not gonna stretch there. You do it at home.
Yeah, the only time I do it at the spot is when we film street. And I'm out in the street for 10 days when we film for a project, and then when you are really, really sore, and then the only time available is like when you are out in the street or right before you do a trick, you want to get because that's the only time.
What's crazy, what you're doing is you twist a lot. So your upper body sometimes, it doesn't move in the same probably speed as the legs. So there might be some stuff going on with disalignment, like with your hips or.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch.
I'm sure you experienced that kind of stuff.
Bunch of back problems, but I've been really on the program, and I've been really trying to get on the no animal products program, which I know you've been a big fan of for a long time. Can you drive us a little bit through your daily food routine?
So yes, I'm plant-based. I don't eat anything that comes from an animal. So
no eggs, nothing. Cheese, nothing. If it's from an animal, that's
100% plant-proof. Let's say plant-based, and I eat and gluten-free as well, which makes me sleep better, causes less inflammation. So that helps with my recovery and everything, which is very important. I always strive for the most minimal way to get better, and if I need to train less and maintain a great performance, why not? So what I do is I have this juicer. I think it's called Omega Juicer. I love this thing. It's one of the best investments I've ever made, and I call it deliberately an investment because it's not that cheap, but it's it's amazing. So I'll do those special juices. My girlfriend has this nutrition specialist. She kindly put me in touch with, and she gave me some recipes which are just perfectly custom made for me and my body. And I'll do like one of those in the morning, and I eat 3 times a day, plant-based meal. Learned that I need to combine it in an exact way, like seeds with nuts and legumes all together to have the most efficient protein. As a vegan, it's, those protein questions, they come all the time from.
Yeah, of course.
So yes, we get a lot of protein. Don't you worry. Sometimes you can smell the protein in the air. Trust me. It's
no food
so
supplements?
much. I do take, because I take maca, MCT oil, pomegranate powder, pea protein. What else? Hemp milk, almond milk sometimes, mostly unsweetened. And I try to not consume processed sugar at all, which is hard sometimes, especially when they open a vegan bakery next to you. It's really hard. I can show you tomorrow if you want to.
I would love that.
You will like it. I will just, it's hard for me, to go there and not eat something, but I will do it for you. I will resist, you'll see. But you have to check it out. It's amazing. It's amazing what they do, and they're actually opening just right around the corner, a gluten-free vegan bakery. I don't remember the date when, but soon, in 1 month or something. And that's going to be interesting. So normally I would cut away from sugar, let's say 80-20. That's what I believe in. Do 80% in your life right, and 20%,
freestyle.
Yeah, But with the plant-based food, I'm super strict.
Super
yes,
strict.
because I think for me it's the best thing. I love it, and it seems very pure, and it doesn't harm me at all. I feel better, and I understand that people are suspicious and they don't really jump on the bandwagon, and especially the medical people or even the state. There's more interesting stories about that. When the state is not happy how you, because of the nutrition you give to your child, so they even interfere if you raise a child that's vegan or whatever. They have a child police here, and that's very interesting and very bad. But I think plant-based nutrition is very healthy, but it needs to be supervised, especially if you're an athlete. So I get my blood controlled. I get B12 shots to my deltoid, my shoulder, every month at least.
So you get B12 shots in your shoulders once a month?
Yes, because especially, like I said, as an athlete, I think it makes sense to have your doctor or your medical people checking your blood, making sure that you're healthy, because the transition from being a non-vegan, eating dairy or even meat, even being a vegetarian is a big transition, So that may affect you, and you maybe want to have a look. You're going through that program now. For how long now?
It's been 6 months. It's really, really new.
6 months already? Yeah. Holy moly, yeah. 6 months. I think I felt the big changes coming after at least 6 months. Yeah, like the detoxification. Have you ever had pimples on your back or something?
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
I don't have pimples anymore.
But did you have?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
A lot. And dude, it's funny you said that.
In the face or on the back?
On the back.
Ah.
And it's great.
At the beginning you had it?
No,
when you ate meat and all that stuff, and milk and all that pus that came. Yeah, it's pus basically, the milk. You saw it in the cows, when they.
Yeah, but not anymore. It's crazy, and I didn't notice until you said it, but I did have a lot of pimples, and now in the back, and now I don't. It's a crazy change, and then I really do feel better. I'm not vegan or vegetarian. I don't consider myself that because I still eat chicken or fish from time to time, but I'm
But
really
not
trying
as much as you used to.
No, not at all.
I think that's great because, I mean, I'm not a missionary. I don't promote it. There's other people who do it for me. I just appreciate when someone tells me that story, like you, that they consider what they eat as beneficial for their own, for themselves, and it even impacts the nature.
And of course, for me, it was not at first something only for animals or only for the planet. It was something more egoist. It was more like for me. But now I see that the impact I have on animals and on the planet, and it's as you said, it's harmless. So you do good, and
it's like I remember the big buzz that was created because Beyonce and Jay-Z went vegan. Like everyone, all the vegans started hating. Oh, now they become vegan. Get the fuck out of here! It's like, it's what you want, those vegans, they're sects. They seem like sect. They're like with their crosses, doing their crusades and hating on other people who aren't vegans or just became vegans because they're celebrities. Just get on with it. It's give everyone the chance. Don't point with the finger on others.
As you said earlier, like people have too much judgment these days.
I don't know why. I don't understand. Why do we need to talk about others all the time?
It's crazy.
Do cool stuff. Get, inspire and be inspired and not talk shit.
It's just, I feel like it's people are scared of what they don't know, and when you were using this word like hemp or seeds or B12 shots, for people who don't know, it can be scary and be like a lot, but when you actually do it, it's not. It's just something that becomes as natural as cooking a steak or whatever.
But the interesting thing, I'll tell you a story. My landlord, he's a farmer. He's probably 45, but he looks like fucking 55. He looks at least 10 years older, and he comes in and he shakes like he looks like fucking he's about to die, and he still tries to be like the hard guy. I got up at 5 and I did this and that the whole day. I do that all my life, this hard guy. And you can see he's so uncomfortable with his whole life. He's so uncomfortable, and his dad probably taught him to just stick to it, eat it up, just get on with it, just no pain, no gain, and you can see like the more, because I'm just saying that because the healthier I get and the more I focus on the good sides of nutrition and lifestyle, just enough sleep and all the things you need to be an actual, active and functioning human. And being able to absorb stress and deal with life in a proper way, you need to focus on that. And you see other people who actually just, they lose their hair with like at an early age. They walk like a Quasimodo, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, at an early age. Not because I don't judge them. Don't get me wrong. It's just, we got taught the wrong information at an early stage, and our genetics got fucked because of all the generations that were taught the wrong things. And I'm not judging anyone here. It's just a fact. I did so many wrong things, and I still do. But at least, and that's a good thing about the internet, maybe, that I can do research and trust my intuition and read about things and try out things. And then I can also see or inspire other people to do it, especially friends. I taught this landlord, hey, maybe you should stop having those cortisone shots all the time and work from 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. in your stable. And because your hernia is killing you, and you shouldn't work and lift heavy things. And no, it's no problem. I can renovate the flat upstairs by myself with my father, who's basically dying. Just start eating differently and maybe go to a physio and, but they inject cortisone so he can function. The bottom line of this is nutrition can heal or fuck you up.
Yeah,
that's it.
Boom. That's a good bottom line. And you've been learning a lot of these things in books, and that's one of the reasons we are in a book library today. Tell me a little bit, when did you get into reading and when you get deep into like books?
That's a hard question because I don't really remember it. I was more of a music fan, but I read the lyrics. So I would always read lyrics of, I remember the Nirvana records, asking my dad what it means, and he would translate. So that's I started reading lyrics and also learning another language, which was English, and French also, because my dad liked Noir Désir as well. So some familiar terrain they're from France too. And so the reading started when deliberately through lyrics. Of course, at school we were reading too, but the stuff I liked was lyrics, and then it's evolved. But I think I loved poems. Yes. I was always a hopeless romantic. I loved like meeting a princess once, and being with her all my life and all that shit. I met a couple of princesses, and they were, exchanged for another princess. Now I have a great princess, and I'm so happy with this princess, and I hope it's not gonna change. So
happily ever after.
Yes, exactly. And but I still read a lot of poems, especially from William Blake. But I think everything started with lyrics. I still read lyrics probably every day.
Lyrics?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
love lyrics.
Do you think it helps you with your bike
Absolutely,
skill?
especially when, there's a good line out of a poem from William Blake. He was stating, "Great things happen when man and mountain meet." That's a good one. You've been on a mountain recently with Mike Horn, right?
Yep, I was.
Great things happen.
Great things happen on
struggle?
mountains.
Did you struggle?
I did struggle.
Yeah.
Mike Horn is a gnarly human. He's
I heard
amazing.
so. He did some great expeditions, and so that poem inspired me because it's somehow, if that guy at that stage said that, and he was different back then, probably, he loved to hike as well. So did Aleister Crowley and some others. But that poem was really, that spoke to me. It was an essential line of words. Sometimes other people say things we know, but they put it on the plate the way we would be like, oh, yes, exactly. That speaks exactly, like how I see it, how I feel. And there's poems who totally reflect it, and that motivates you to go on, or inspires you to do another. Could be a song you use for an upcoming edit or whatever. I love being inspired and not looking desperately for something. I love organic things that just happen. Like we meet. You remember how we met?
In New York?
Hudson River. I was out there riding around with my friend Phil Gale, and I saw your beanie, your cap. You were wearing a RedBull cap, and that's a great thing about RedBull athletes. Most of them are true followers of head branding, and you'll recognize them, and you certainly are one of them. And I was happy to meet you. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here talking to each other and sharing thoughts. So you see, that happened organically.
That happens organically,
and it will lead to other things, and that's a great thing. No stress. Everything was great, and that's what I like about it. Organic process. Yeah.
Very nice. What's if there is I know that's a really hard question, and you're gonna hate me for that. if all the books had to disappear and there was only one left on planet Earth for you, what would it be?
My own photo book, I would do. Because then I would not forget the great memories, and I would choose all my favorite photographs I took. Yeah.
That's a really good fucking answer, Patrick Seabase.
Thank you.
One more question that I asked all the guys that I've been interviewing is like, what would you say to Patrick Seabase when he was 10 years old?
Stop stealing your mother's cash for records.
That's really good too. That's really good. I'm noticing a lot of things on your body, so Armine, so I'm gonna cut the crap and say, don't ask you how many tattoos you get, because I hate answering that question. It's a useless question. No, I don't.
Me neither.
And all the journalists are like, how many tattoos you get? I don't know. I don't care.
It's like the vegan protein question. Yes.
But what is the reason? Because I know I have a reason. What is your reason for getting tattoos?
Oof. But it started very early when I was 16. I was into hardcore and metal. I still am. Not into hardcore that much anymore. But there was this band called H2O, and they released their first album. It was actually their second. I think it was called Thicker Than Water. And they had a Sacred Heart cover. It was a heart with thorns around. And it had a little cut, and there was, blood coming out, and 2 swallows. They were flying above the heart. And it's on my right calf, and that was my first tattoo.
How old were you?
I was 16. I think it was 2 weeks before. It was in December, probably December 1st. And I was about to turn 16 on December the 11th. So it had 10 days before, actually, being legally able to get a tattoo. So I did it anyway, and I got more and more and more and more and more and more and more. Yeah, and I still get more, probably,
Just for souvenirs, or?
It's a hard thing. I'm trying to explain it to you, even though you probably you're in the same situation. The older you get, the more selective you are, and the less, tattoos you get. Because between 16 and 25, I got the most. Obviously, and then it decreased, and now I'm more. It has to be something very cool. It's very meaningful, and because I have tons of shit. Oh my god, really bad shit. But I'm not gonna cover all of them, and they're just there,
Yeah.
And I even forget that I have tattoos sometimes. I don't think about it. I know. Do you think about it all the time?
I totally forget.
And you
that
have even
tattoos.
your hands,
Yeah.
You got the knuckles, the palm. Do you have the palm?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But I have the ribs, everything. And for me at first, honestly, the first 5 years was I just really wanted to get a sleeve because I thought it was really cool. From 17 to 23, I was like, I just want to get that.
When did you get your first one?
I think I was 17.
Oh, so around the same age. What was it?
I wrote rock and roll on my arm. But
rock and roll, yeah. That's like my lift to skate. It's like a guilty forever.
But I fell on the R. No, it says cock and roll, and it's not the same.
Cock and roll.
It's not the same meaning.
Yeah.
But no, so
the Bruce Lee.
Yeah,
amazing.
I was just reading a book because Bruce Lee.
Yeah, of course. He's always busy reading or fighting. It's always.
But no, for me now it's just more souvenirs. But it used to be just because I wanted to get tattoos. I thought they looked good. Now I don't think they look that good. It's just
I wouldn't. I don't know. What would you, if you have the mind you have now, let's say the consciousness you have now, would you approach tattooing the same way now if you wouldn't have any tattoos? Let's say, would you go all in, or would you be more selective? Would you even get a tattoo?
I don't think I would get a tattoo.
Yeah, me neither. I just told my girlfriend, I was like, I don't know if I will get a tattoo because they're every fucking where.
Yeah.
And not that I want to be the most special person on the planet, but it's just more like, it's definitely not too appealing to me anymore. It's just everywhere. It's like too generic.
Yeah, exactly.
But we have it. We cannot. One thing we can't is properly get rid of them. That's we're not gonna laser those. Right?
No, it's gonna stay there forever.
Yes, so
tattoos forever. No regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets, bro.
That's it. No regret.
What is your most straightforward answer when people ask you, how do you make a living from fixed gear? You know, because that's a question we get all the time.
Yes.
Like when we say like, yeah, we ride bike for a living, people are like, but what's your actual job? So what do you answer to that
Well,
question?
I still haven't got the old. I still don't have the short answer. It's more of a. It takes a couple of sentences to explain. I would just tell them, yeah, I ride bikes, and I have sponsors. They really like what I do, or at least they seem to like it. I go somewhere, ride my bike there, capture it on film and photography, and release it. And that's it. It's very egotistical to a certain extent, but it's very inspiring to some, because every day I can say I just inspire people riding bikes. And they would answer, or they would say or ask, but you're not are you a courier? Do you deliver food on your bike? No. Like I said, I just happen to ride a bike and capture it and release it on social media, on Vimeo or wherever. And yeah, people like it. Yes, some hate it very much, and some love it. That's it. And I love it. That's the most important thing. Yes.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. I think we're gonna talk organically in privacy tomorrow, or
For sure, you can check
it's
all
a
of
natural ending, right?
Of course, we can check all of our adventures in a vlog that just came out with that podcast. Bern is certainly an amazing city. So does Patrick Seabase. Thank you so much for being a part of it today.
Thank you.
You are the man.
Next to me. You're the man too. So great mind. Great to see you. Great to talk to you.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank
See you soon on the What Does It Take podcast. Love you, boys. Thanks for listening. Bye. Have a nice one.